How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Forever Arsenal podcast. And I'm getting used to starting these with a smile on our faces. Last season, it wasn't the same as it has been so far this one. But look, Lee out there enjoying in Turkey, had to get out the pool early. Sharoy smiling, Jordan smiling, I'm smiling. It's mad. 5 out of 5. Jordan, Lee, Sharoy, all good?
Yeah, boss. You called it. Pre-season.
Buzzy.
5 out of 5 you wanted. You got 5 out of 5. Let's go to Old Toilet, and as Troops calls it, and let's get 6 out of 6.
Before we talk about Old Toilet, as you put it, we've got a result to talk about. Another test at home. You know, Fulham was a test, going behind in the second half and having to come back from a goal behind. But Aston Villa was a test in itself, getting pulled back into a fight, into a game, but retaliating straight away. It was a big test, and we overcome it again. Sharoy, I was with you in the studio. Lee, give me your thoughts first.
Absolutely buzzing from that result. I thought we was absolutely fantastic all through the game. I know, like, that first half was absolutely brilliant. I thought we played some really, really good stuff. Yes, we should have been 2 or 3 up. Funny enough, we got the goal from a Martinez mistake, if I'll be honest. But Martinez's shot would have been goal of the season. It now is going to be save of the season.
Yeah.
I thought we was breathtaking in that first half, and what was clear to see, Steven Gerrard's tactics were go out there, kick lumps out of them, try and aggravate them, try and put them off their stride. We continued to play our football, so I thought that was a very, very good point. Big disappointment for me if anything's happened to Odegaard. I thought he was magnificent again yesterday. Like, that was a nasty tackle from McGinn yesterday. He knew exactly what he was doing, but that's what they've been obviously trained to do by the wonderful Steven Gerrard. But let's face it, I loved him as a player. I got utmost respect for him as a player. As a manager, not so much. I've got to say that, because that's what their tactics yesterday were. But they've got some bloody good players as well, Villa, you know. And to go into those sort of tactics, they got rid of what was his name? Smith, wasn't it? I can't think of his first name.
Dean Smith.
Dean. What was his name?
Dean Smith. Yeah.
Who done all that for Steven Gerrard. I don't understand, but anyway, that's another story. I just thought he was brilliant. Then you just think it's one of those games when we've just missed a few chances, and then they get the go. But what a response, guys! Come on, you know what I mean? That's happened twice now. I was just thinking my 8th beer after that, because I thought, I can't take this no more. Like, and I've just thought it's one of those games we're going to drop points, but we come back and I'm going to say it now, I'm having a lovely holiday and all that, but my God, I missed that not being in the stadium last night. The atmosphere, you could get it through on the TV, was unbelievable. Brilliant result, great performance. Worrying about a couple of little injuries now. I don't know what was going on with Ramsdale, whether he was faking that or not, because he was sort of holding his hamstring, and I'm thinking, oh no. And then he's kicking the ball out the stadium in the next couple of kicks. So hopefully, injuries don't curtail our season, guys. It's really now a big worry for me. But all in all, that was a great performance yesterday. And other teams dropping points around us as well, even better.
Yeah, makes it a perfect week. Obviously, on the weekend, all of the big 6 sides picked up wins, which is quite rare. But, over the last couple of days, Tottenham have dropped points, Chelsea have dropped points, United played tonight. The result will be out by the time this comes out on AFTV, so we'll know if they've dropped points too before our big game on Sunday. Jordan, man, feelings and thoughts around this game?
Yeah, bro. Positive, first of all. I'll start with the positives. Arteta, I'm going to big him up, because when the fixture list came out, I think we all pretty much said 5 out of 5. I think you said minimum 13 points. We might take a draw against do you know what I mean? I've forgotten the game that you... Yeah, maybe, and then win the other 4. But he's got 15 points. And although people always caveat it with, but it's Fulham and blah, 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 blah. But not many teams win their first 5 games of the season. Yeah. Not many teams. That's important.
But listen, Man City have dropped points to Newcastle. So Man United have dropped points to Brentford and Brighton. Chelsea have dropped points to Southampton and Leeds. These are also teams that people would say you should beat them.
Yeah, so I think I'm hard on Arteta this year, and I'm hard on Arsenal, but fair's fair. 5 out of 5. That is a brilliant start. We've handled our business, and we haven't really. I think we deserve to win all 5 of those games. I don't think there's any game where we think that one we were lucky. We've over the course of the 5 games, we've warranted the 5 wins. Brilliant. Yesterday's game, I would say, I thought we deserved to win it as well. I thought we were the better team. I was concerned that they would be physical. They were physical, and would we match that? We did match it. We dealt with it. There was a few naughty challenges that went in, but we rode it, and I'm really happy that we're going into the game on the weekend, top of the league in the form that we're in. A couple of negatives, and I'm clutching here. I'm not going to lie. I think the inability to the ratio of possession and dominance to goals needs to be better. We can't be dominating against Fulham and against Villa, and even I think we should have scored more goals against Leicester and not putting games to bed. Because eventually that will come back and bite us on the backside. If you can't, there were 3 or 4 chances in that first half an hour, 45 minutes. You're never going to score all your chances. That's never going to happen. But we should have been 3 up. We should have been 3 up. Do you know what I mean? And I think in other games, that's going to haunt us. And it almost did. We were 1 up, 1-1, and then you're in a battle. So I think we have to be more ruthless in front of goal. I want to mention also Ramsdale, who I'm still... That goal, it's not a foul for me, first of all. It's not a foul. No, I don't know why we don't have a defender. If they're going to put an attacker in front of him, roughing him up and putting him off, why haven't we got a defender in front of that attacker and helping Ramsdale? Do you know what I mean? He seems a bit isolated to fight his own fight there. It's not a foul. But getting beat from a corner, that's a bad look. That is a bad look. So I need better from him. And I want to just finally mention Saka, because we've spoken about Saka in the last few podcasts and people are talking about, oh, he's a bit off it. And I've defended him saying that he's not off it, and I will still defend him. What's happening with Saka is there are other players playing well. Yeah. And what's happening with Saka is what should have happened with Jack Wilshere, whereby we have a young player still developing, and rather than the expectation being on him to be 8 out of 10 every single game, he's allowed to develop and have a 6 out of 10, have a 7 out of 10, but the pressure's not on him to win us every single game, because we've now got Zinchenko to do that. We've now got Jesus. We've now got who I won't name playing really, really well. And I know you gave man of the match performance yesterday, Turkish. I agree with you. I think he was the best player on the pitch yesterday as well. But the pressure on Saka to not have to win us every single game, that burden's not on him anymore. He could just develop. He could just do his thing and develop. And I think the back half of the season, he will have an impact on the season. I'm very confident about that. So Saka's not ripping it up. He should have scored in the first half. He should have scored. That's 100%. A bad miss. I'm sorry. That is a bad miss. But generally, Saka is developing nicely, and the pressure isn't on his shoulders to have to win every single game. And that's the reason why I'm not worried about him not standing out anymore, because as a young player, he shouldn't be standing out. He should be just ticking along, doing his job, developing and getting better and better without the pressure of having to play a man of the match performance every single game. So overall, really good game, but a few things to tighten up on. A clean sheet. I wanted a clean sheet. We spoke about the last pod, didn't we? We didn't get a clean sheet. But overall, 5 out of 5. Let's go, man. Let's go.
Can't really complain. But with Saka as well, he's still a threat. That's the main thing. He's still confident. He's still picking up the ball, and that's what I want to see. You know, like you said, Martinelli and Jesus have kind of been taking the headlines in terms of the forward roles, and Odegaard. You know, 3 of the 4 have taken the headlines. That, in my opinion, only bodes well, because I expect Saka to shortly take the headlines. Look at Lee pointed upwards.
And Xhaka. Let's just can we just get that in, please? And I don't want to mention him, but please, can we have a little mention?
Well, Jordan gave him man of the match as well.
I did.
Giving him man of the match. What more do you want? You want us to fucking send champagne and flowers, or?
Thank you. That do me. Thank you very much. That's all we need.
Look, we'll talk about Xhaka, because in my opinion he was man of the match. But Sharoy, overall thoughts on what Jordan had to say?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The thing is, when you're at home and you have periods of dominance for, let's say, 55, 60 minutes, and you're only putting 1 goal away to make it count, sometimes you can get away with it, because if you concede, you might be able to react instantaneously. The fans are with you. You've got that belief. But let's say we are at somewhere like Old Trafford, which we happen to be going to this weekend. It may well be the case that we only have that purple patch for 20 or 25 minutes, and the rest of the time we have to withstand some pressure, hypothetically. And that's why you really have to make those chances count when they come along. Touching in on Saka, It could have been a very different day for him if he gets that penalty, because that's all created from a driving run that he makes. He skins 3 players and then he gets thrown on the floor like he works for WWE and Vince McMahon, and no one does anything. I thought it was a complete shocker that wasn't given. And anywhere else on the pitch, I think that's a foul. I think he's on penalties, so if he gets it, he probably takes it, and his confidence and the complexion of the game is different. That being said, even though he perhaps didn't have the typical Bukayo Saka game, he gets the assist for the Martinelli goal.
Yeah.
I think Saka looked a lot better when Tomiyasu was on. I know it wasn't for that long, but Tomiyasu on the overlap, their understanding really seemed to show. Yeah. And Saka looked a lot more potent going forward when Tommy was on. And that's made me think that he might want to start Tomiyasu against Manchester United, which is why he brought him on that early, to get him some minutes and see if that dynamic is still there carrying over from last season. But overall, look, another win at home. As Lee says, the atmosphere was incredible at the stadium, and it's the character that this team's showing that I think is giving all of us that belief that we may not have had in previous years. The idea that you can concede a goal, that a team can peg you back and go level, particularly a disappointing goal, but then you can react like that with such a young player as well. I mean, I know that people might say Martinez was maybe at fault even for the second goal, but it's not easy to get that shot on target. Given the trajectory of the ball when it's coming in, the fact you have to hit it on the half volley. I would have woken up euphoric today if I hadn't listened to Arteta's press conference, because he said Mo Elneny looks like he's out for a while, and he really didn't look happy when he said that. So I think by a while he might mean half a season, if I had to guess.
Oh wow, you think that long, Troy?
Yeah, it looked bad. Partey, but I mean the way that Arteta was conveying the message. Partey, initially they said a tight right thigh. He yesterday called it a recurring injury. So if he's saying it's not tightness and it's a recurring injury, I don't know when Thomas is back. And Odegaard, the imperious captain of ours, the guy that doesn't hide, the guy that everything goes through, going into Old Trafford. Poor guy takes, as Arteta described it, as harsh. I think Lee described it as a nasty challenge from McGinn. He's strapped up and he has to come off, and it's very rare. Odegaard's one of those old school players that doesn't, make a fuss when he gets injured. He doesn't dive, he doesn't roll around like that, but he had to wave himself off. So he looked like he was in pain too. That's what's got me concerned. But looking at the performance in isolation, as you say, I think a clean sheet would have been great. I think we were good value for a clean sheet. Can't remember Ramsdale having to make a save going the other way, unless I missed something. I mean, I really can't remember him having to make any sort of save. So yeah, in games like that, you really should be getting clean sheets. But I said it on my fan cam. If we get the 3 points, I'm not going to dwell on the goals that we concede if we get the 3 points, but we have to be wary of the fact that it might lead to us not getting the 3 points down the line. So we need to eradicate that as the season goes on.
Yeah, we're not going to get away with it every time. Jordan?
Just wanted to kind of just 2 brief points. I mean, Shiroi mentioned Tomiyasu's impact. I was watching the game, but I saw people online talking about when he came on. Oh, why is he bringing on Tomiyasu? There's this myth that if you bring on a defender, it can't make the overall team more attacking. I remember an example. I forgot. I think it was Zabala. Who was the Chelsea wing back? No.
Ivanovic.
No, Zasper. What's his name?
Azpilicueta.
No, begin with a Z. Z. Zappacosta. About 3 or 4 years.
Got there in the end.
I got there in the end. I remember there was a game about 3 or 4 years back where I think it was Conte. He brought him on. And he took off a midfielder, and they were 1-0 down at home. And I remember the Chelsea fan base going crazy. Why are you bringing him on? Because the perception was if you bring on a right wing back or a right back, that is you conceding that you're not going to score a goal. But what bringing on Zappacosta did, it changed the whole shape of the Chelsea team. And whilst it's easy to bring on a striker, sometimes the best way of scoring a goal isn't to bring on a goal getter, it's to bring on a goal creator. Maybe don't increase your chances of a goal finisher, but increase your goal creation. And I think that is what we did last night. Just because he's a right back doesn't mean that he can't create more chances. Maybe Arteta thought the best way of getting that third goal, was it 1-1 at that point or 2-1 at that point? I think it was 1-1 at that point. The best way of getting the second goal is to increase Arsenal's goal creation potential rather than just flinging on strikers for the sake of it. So I was a bit disappointed that people didn't understand what Arteta was trying to do. It looks a bit disappointing at the time, but what he was doing it came to fruition. We were more threatening in that final third of the game when he came on. And the other thing I want to mention as well is the comeback and coming back from the 1-1 and also the Fulham game. There's this idea that people talk about character. Oh, it's character, great character. Not all comebacks are about a great character. Sometimes it's about we're better than you, and we have better players than you, and us imposing our better players on you should mean we score another goal. I don't think we scored that second goal through character. I think we scored that second goal just because we were the better team with better players. And I think 9 times out of 10, the team that has better players will invariably score a goal. So I don't like this idea that any time a team comes back, it's always about character. Sometimes it's not about character. Sometimes it's about, well, you should be winning this game because Arsenal are better than Aston Villa. Go on, Sharon.
No, I was just going to say, I agree, not every time, but in a situation where you react within a minute or a minute and a half of the goal going in, and it's your next attack in the immediacy, that surely must say something about the belief of the team, right? And the character that they show, the idea that, okay, look, we've been pegged back, we need to go up a level now. I agree that not every goal that you score is because of character, but that was very much a reaction to what just happened, because we hadn't scored for the preceding 30 or 40 minutes. And I think Tomiyasu was actually brought on at 1-0 for us.
Was it 1-0? Okay.
I think so. Because I remember Laurie on the watch along also thinking that was a defensive substitution, given that we were 1-0 up. But I completely agree. That
it was a bold move, wasn't it?
Bold move. He knows he could hold Nketiah back. And look at what Nketiah did when he came on, man. The awareness in terms of game management was superb.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was a bold move because I actually thought Ben White played quite well last night, defensively. If anybody had a poor game last night from the defence, it was probably Gabriel. I thought he was poor. If I go on it, like first missed header, he missed a couple of headers, you know what I mean? So, but it was a bold decision. But I even though we went a goal down, I'm with my mate Jordan on this. I felt Tomiyasu just shored us up a little bit, even though we conceded a goal. Look, we conceded a goal from a mistake. We've conceded a goal on Saturday from a mistake. You know what I mean? So it's not like teams are opening us up and causing us all sorts of problems. So I felt that I think yesterday we defended that game a lot better than what we did against Fulham. There wasn't so many chances created and all that, and really, as I think it was you said, Jordan. I don't think Ramsdale was that busy all through the game. So I thought it was a good performance from us, and I thought that the manager has to take a little bit of credit again, because I think the substitutions are spot. It's like, I don't know how you feel about this. I know people have a go at Eddie and whatever, but Eddie knew exactly what his role was to do yesterday. It was a substitutions role, but he knew exactly what he had to do when he come on, and that was to get the ball, run it into the areas, run down the clock. At a shot from distance, which I don't mind, because at the end of the day, if you don't score it, make sure that it goes out. I was always taught that. So he's hit it and it's gone out. So they can't counter attack on you. I think his performance yesterday is a real mature performance from him. I think he's come on in the past, and I've watched him, and I think he's been a little desperate to score a goal to try and make. I think he's comfortable in what he's doing now. And I thought he was brilliant when he came on to last night. I just think it was a good all-round performance. Smith Rowe gave us a little bit of. I think when he got the ball, he kept the ball and kept us. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say it was a brilliant performance. Even at 2-1, there was times when we was just moving the ball about nicely, keeping the ball. I just think that the scoreline didn't really do us justice for that game. If I'll be honest, I really do. I think that was a really, really good performance last night.
Should have been 3-1.
2-0 it should have been. Can I just say something? It's bugging me, really. I've got to say this, is that in the back of Jordan's on the door? Is that his Edison Manchester City scarf? Is that what that is? It's been bugging me, Is it because I just can't concentrate, then. Do you know what I mean? If it is
Midfield maestro. He's got the shirt.
Come on, man, my boy Edison.
We've given some credit to Eddie. We've talked about Saka. We've talked about Ramsdale a bit. But one player I want to talk about before we do move on to the United game preview and the lineups and how these injuries might affect us is the man that Jordan doesn't want to name. Jordan, you gave him man of the match. Lee's pointing up at you. I think I've said enough in the past 12 hours or so. I think it's over to you now, my guy.
Listen, I mean, people have been asking in the comments that didn't watch us when we were on the VIP app. Why won't he name his name? It's so childish. It's so immature. Yeah, shut up. So I refuse to name his name because last year he just pissed me off. So he just annoyed me with his continuous non-learning of lessons, of making the same errors that cost us points over the course of the season. He wasn't that bad last year, but there was enough foolishness and dumb things he did to annoy me. So I just refuse to stop naming his name. What I will say is this, and we said it before, I think Arteta deserves huge credit in recognizing the new position where he needs to be. The box-to-box role really suits him. He's been in my fantasy football team from the start of the season because it's quite clear he's going to spend a lot of time in the final third.
That's some new information. That's some new
This
information.
guy just gets worse. He just gets
Listen,
So you can't
it's
say
fantasy
his name,
football.
but you can put him in your team.
Oh yeah. I've got no shame, Sharoy. He's getting me good points as well. Yeah, let's have it right. He's got a few assists and a couple of goals. Let's have it right. But I will say this: I'm a big believer in lepers never changing their spots. I don't think that he will no longer make dumb fouls. I don't think that he will no longer get red cards this season. The difference is, and you flagged this, Turkish, it will happen in their box rather than our box. It will happen in their half rather than our half. So when he gives a dumb pass away, it won't impact us as much because it's not 20 yards from our goal or on the edge of our box. So I don't think he's changed in the sense of not making rash, stupid tackles. I mean, that's still to be determined. We'll watch him over the course of the season. But when it does happen, it won't happen in an area that's going to hurt us. So, and I think that is where Arteta deserves massive credit for him. Yesterday, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah,
I thought he was calm. I thought he made really good passes. His energy levels, he seems to be a bit fitter. He's getting up and down, a lot more than he had before. So, no, fair play to him. You know my thoughts on him, but I'm a fair man, and fair play to him.
Gonna start saying his name or
no? Not yet. Let's not do that.
He's always had an engine. He's always had an engine.
Yeah.
It's just that turn of pace that he doesn't have. I think Jacques has always had that engine. If I'm not mistaken, the position that he now occupies for us is the position that he plays internationally anyway. So it might be a new position for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a new position in terms of him understanding what to do in that role. And just on him learning, Turkish and I were on the watch along yesterday, and there was one sort of second ball. He gets there, but he pulls out of the challenge. Yeah, and I think Xhaka in years gone by would have jumped straight in and said, "All right, let's see what you've got. Maybe got a yellow, could have got a red," but he didn't. He realised it was in their half. Even if they get possession there, it's not necessarily fatal. He pulls out and does the sensible thing. So, look, I'm a fan of looking forward with this player now, not necessarily looking back. And I think he may well be learning. I mean, I hope I don't have egg on my face in a few weeks, but I think he may well be learning. And the goal comes from him making that sort of subtle run into the box, squaring the ball first time, not taking too many touches. Emi Martinez has forced him into an error. Maybe he doesn't expect Granit to put it in that quickly. And the rebound falls to Jesus. So he, again, another integral part in that goal. And I was speaking to Turkish. I was thinking, we were sitting there trying to think of, when his last bad or half decent performance was, because every performance I've seen from him this season and quite a few towards the back end of last season and pre-season this year have been good.
Over the 5 games, he's been our best player. If you look at the 5 games as a whole, he's been our best player. Jesus has been brilliant in 2 or 3 games. Zinchenko a couple, Saliba. But if you look at the whole 5 games, his average probably averages the highest of everybody in the squad. So fair play to him. And Sharoy, you mentioned the players we've got out going to Old Trafford. He, I think, will be our most important player on Sunday. I think we. Go on. Sorry, go on.
No, I was literally just going to say, particularly if he has Lukonga next to him, because when you're marshalling a youngster into a team in a position as midfield, yeah, exactly. He almost has to play the midfield role, but also the sort of older brother role, and make sure that Lukonga doesn't get lost in that game. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that Xhaka does step up. But as we say, to date, he has.
Yeah. Lee, is that enough praise for you, mate?
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, because don't forget, last year, I got a lot of stick when I turned around and said that Granit Xhaka is our best midfield player at the club. And I stress it that he still is. You know what I mean? Thomas Partey is a great player, but where was he yesterday? Where is he going to be on Saturday? Granit Xhaka will be there, and that is it. He's more reliable, and unfortunately, that is the thing. And also, I think there's a big thing for Lukonga last night is that for the first time, I can't remember that he's had a bit of experience around him. I think in other games he's had Charlie Patino playing there, he's had El Nelly playing there, who is experienced. But you know what I mean. But I think Granit Xhaka and him that helped Sandy yesterday, and I think that was very, very important because I tell you what, let's not take away from his performance yesterday. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Really, really did play well, and needed to. And needed to, but you know, credit to everybody at Arsenal, credit to Xhaka himself, credit to the manager, because you know this could have easily gone pear-shaped. The thing is now, guys, and if we don't do anything in the transfer window today, if Granit's to get injured now, we're in real problems. You know what I mean? Like, and he is a machine. I have to say that. Like, you know, he's really reliable, and I think he played really, really well yesterday. I didn't think he was man of the match yesterday, guys. I'm going to say I thought that Martinelli or Odegaard picked it for me, like, over him, like. But proper man's. I wouldn't want to play against Granit Xhaka in midfield. I'll be honest, because I think that he's got that little bit of power, a little bit of deceitfulness in him, and a little bit of I wouldn't say nastiness, but like, you know, I wouldn't want to mess with him, sort of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, but his performance last night, and I will say this, I think he's been Mr. Consistent this season as well, like, and probably like over the last year or so, like, you know. So no, I'm very happy, like, but I won't be very happy until him up the top there starts mentioning his name in the same fondness as he does Edison. That's all I'm saying.
Long way, mate. Long way. Before you move on to the transfers, I know you're going to move on, Turkish. Just briefly, I don't know how many games Jesus has finished for us this season, but I'm noticing, and it's only 5 games, but he doesn't end games very strongly. I've noticed that in the final third of the game, his impact diminishes quite significantly. I'd have to check how many games he's finished this season. I think he's been subbed a few times in the 5 games, but his impact is, and that might just be getting used to us and a fitness thing. I don't know, but he's in first half of games this year, he's on fire. He's absolutely on fire. But in the latter part of games, he seems to fade quite badly. But I don't know. I'm not worried about it yet, but it's just something I'm slightly noticing with him at the moment.
But they have to work hard, Jordan. I have to say that the work rate of them front three is exceptional. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and they're putting it, and it ain't such a bad thing if he does come off and then have a fresh running on. Like, you know what I mean? So. I have to say that the work rate of do you know what? Just, you know, it's a brilliant point you make there. I just, before we finish on this, I thought the work rate of the team yesterday was a pleasure to watch. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen us not work hard. Yeah, it didn't seem like we was working that hard, but yesterday's work rate, chasing them down, hustling them, and all. Listen, I thought that was a fantastic.
One thing is
work rate and everything.
Because we've missed out on that so long, and I keep on referring back to Roy Keane when he was asked about players working hard, and he just looked and said, "That's our job," you know. But at Arsenal, we haven't had that for so long that it's refreshing to see players actually running back if they lose the ball, getting back in numbers, pressing high up, you know, causing the opposition to make mistakes, turnovers, all of that. It's been so refreshing to see over the past, and not just this season, the past year and a half. I have to include not just this summer, but last summer in that as well.
Can I just ask one question, just to all three of you? Like, what was your thoughts on Tierney's performance last night?
I thought defensively, sorry, I was just going to say defensively quite solid, but I honestly think that going forward, he looked like he perhaps has lost a little bit of a turn of pace, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. He might still be trying to get back to match fitness, but his delivery as well, more often was hitting the first man. And every time he went for a cross, you could see it was like getting blocked with ease, or maybe he was getting ushered out, and that was going forward. It was quite a concern. It made me think that if Zinchenko is fit for the United game, he probably does come back in.
Yeah, I'm pretty much along the same lines as Sharoy. I think defensively you can rely upon him, but there was times even defensively when he was getting run at, it did look like he's lost the yard of pace. But it's still very early. It's his second start in however long. And it's a very different, well, not very different, but it's quite a different Arsenal side to the one that he left when he had got injured towards the end of last season. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he kicks on, because we might need Zinni in midfield come Sunday, and Tierney might need to stay in that position.
I agree with Sharoy. I'm going to give him a couple more games to kind of really get himself into the season. But I think you're right to flag it, Lee. I'm a massive Tierney fan, but going forward, he does seem to have lost something. But I'm going to give him a couple more games before I really see if there's a long-term issue there, or he's just finding his way back into form. It wouldn't surprise me if he plays on Sunday as man of the match and rips it up. That would not surprise me. But yeah, I totally think you're right to ask the question.
Going on to Man United a little bit, and Lee's comment on Xhaka, being consistent, and there's a saying that the best ability is availability. On Sunday, in terms of the midfield positions, we know Xhaka's there. Xhaka's one of the three. Partey and Nene injured, Odegaard potentially out. Let's say Odegaard is out on Sunday. What would your midfield three be, Jordan?
I would go who I won't name, Lokonga. What format? I'd go 4-3-3. So I'd probably put Smith Rowe in there. I'd probably make Xhaka come deeper and have a double block with Xhaka. Oh, bloody hell. He I won't name and Lokonga.
Just say his name now, man.
No, I'm not doing it. And then I'd probably put at the top of that triangle, if you like, I'd probably put Smith Rowe there, with two goons kind of behind him and the front three to do their things. And that would be my midfield three. I feel like Emile Smith Rowe feels ready now to kind of have a game and step into a big game and assert himself and really announce that, hi boss, don't forget I'm still here. I can do a job. If he has the protection of those two behind him to kind of really mop up and kind of keep it tight. That would be my midfield three.
I'll go next, and I'll probably go for Zinchenko in the 6, Xhaka in the 8, and I'd throw a curveball in there and say Vieira, if he's ready, if he's fit, in the number 10 role. Reason being because, often people talk about throwing players in at the deep end. But how often have you seen a player start against a big team and perform, hit the ground running?
Remember Marcus Rashford's debut against us?
Yeah, relish the opportunity, Sometimes that is the best stomping ground for a new player. And yeah, I'm with you on Smith Rowe. I wouldn't be against Smith Rowe starting. Look at what Smith Rowe done for us last season. A hell of a lot of goals, both from the bench and when he started. But I just really want to see Vieira now. Ideally, Odegaard is fit, but we're talking if he's not fit. So for me, Zinchenko, Xhaka, and Vieira. Sharoi?
I wouldn't want a system change. I really wouldn't want a system change here. That's why I'm sort of leaning towards what you're saying, Turkish, because we can still retain the same system. I personally would go Smith Rowe over Vieira, because I think Smith Rowe, notwithstanding the fact that Vieira is meant to be a wonderfully creative player, I think Smith Rowe brings goals from that position, and scored against United last season. I think it was that one that sort of fell to him outside of the box, and he just volleyed it straight in, and the keeper was sort of nowhere to be seen. There was some debate as to whether it should have counted or not, but it did in the end. And again, I think a lot of people are forgetting about the fact that Smith Rowe scored so many goals for us last year in incredibly important games. And if you're going to give the kid the number 10 on the back of his shirt, play him as the number 10 if your captain's out. For me, that's what I would do. But and I'm conscious of what sort of message it would send if Lokonga comes into the team, plays relatively well, but then gets brought out again. Because that in that situation, I'm not entirely sure what it would do for his confidence. But I think at these sorts of levels, you have to be able to deal with that in competitive atmospheres at Old Trafford. If Zinchenko's fit, he probably does jump into that midfield for me too.
Yeah. Lee, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to maybe chuck a little curveball in here. I've got a feeling maybe Arsenal might go to a back three in this game. Play Ben White and Gabriel and Saliba. And that's maybe why Tommy has to come on for a few more minutes there on the right-hand side of it. I would play Zinchenko on the left. I think that because of we haven't got that real midfield structure at the moment, I think maybe try and protect it. If they don't, then the back four as normal. And listen, I'm Sambi, if we're not going to buy anybody, it'd be interesting to see what happens after. You've got to trust this kid now,
Yeah,
he's got an opportunity and he's got to come in, and so I'm thinking if you're not going to be prepared to go and buy anybody this transfer window, which could happen, we don't know, and then you're leaving him out. That tells me a lot of things that, you know what I mean. You don't trust him and whatever. So I'm going to go. I'll tell you what I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Our new signing, whoever he's going to be, he's going to come straight into the team, like, you know what I mean? So let's see who that'll be. But
Well,
go on, you can cut over me. Go on.
Sorry, Lee. I'm just, you know, I've got to cut you in there. Just to build on your point, though, I think we have to also factor in who they'll be playing against. So Casemiro is likely to start in this game.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we should be scared of Casemiro, but if you're putting a young Lokonga in there alongside the Swiss captain, up against Casemiro, he'll be buzzing. Will he be up to speed? I'm sure he'll be fit. I'm sure he'll be excited. We have to factor Anthony has been confirmed as, you know, will he start? Yeah. So he'll be on Tierney's side, right?
Yes.
So our left, right. So we've got to factor in those elements as well. Do we stick it on them and try and go there and beat them? Or do we actually try and ease our way into the game and keep it tight and then get to an hour mark and all that sort of stuff? And I think that also what our intentions are will, I think, determine the system and therefore the players that we start with tomorrow.
I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point. I think when you see what the team is, you think that, you know, what we're going to go for. I think that we've got to be cautious of them. I think that because, you know, it's Man United and they're at home, you know, but let's not overhype them and you know, respect them, but not. That's how it goes. And I think if Odegaard's not fit, and I mean 100% fit, I don't want to see Odegaard playing if he's only 70% fit or 8% fit.
Agreed.
Because I think there's a disrespect and a forgetfulness of how good Smith Rowe is. You know what I mean? So for me, the only reason Smith Rowe's not in this team at the moment is because he's a bit like, gets a few little injuries and niggles and all that. Like, you know, I don't think his place was anything up for jeopardy until he got a few injuries and all that. Like, and Martinelli's just gone on and all that. But I think that, listen, keep it tight up there and let the three go up and destroy, which I think's a back 3 or 4 that's vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like, just look what Jesus has done. I went Harry Maguire. He's hopefully going to say, I've got a bit of an hamstring at the moment. Like, you know what I mean? He's not going to be wanting to come up against that. I tell you, like, you know, under a little bit of pressure. So I feel it's a good time for us to be short at the back, in midfield, let the front three go and do their stuff.
Well, looking at United so far, lost the first couple of games of the season, Brighton, Brentford, went on to beat Liverpool. Then they beat Southampton. They're due to play Leicester tonight. When this pod comes out, it'll be the day after, so we'll know exactly who we've signed in the last 14 hours or so of the window, or who we haven't signed. And we'll know about Man United result against Leicester away from home and how that might impact the game on Sunday mentally. I'm not too sure. But when I take a look at that Southampton game against United, Southampton could have really taken something from that game. It was quite a mature performance all around from United, but Southampton had chances and opportunities to get a goal. And overall, I think a draw would have been a fair result. But United nicked it. It is what it is. What does this game represent for us, though, going into it now? You know, the first 5 of the season, we all kind of expected at least 13 out of 15 points. But now it's the big one. It's our first game against a Big Six side and our first game away against a Big Six side. Sharoy, I can see you chomping at the bit to get in there.
No, it's just because of something Dan Potts said yesterday on his fan cam. I thought it was spot on. He said, look, me and everyone else have been talking about the first 5 games and how we should have 5 wins. Why? Because we knew who was number 6. Mm-hmm. And that resonated with me a lot because, look, growing up, I mean, for all of us, that Arsenal United rivalry was the rivalry. It was us or it was them. And we've seen some absolutely wonderful games over the years. Our record at Old Trafford historically hasn't been great. And the frustrating thing is, even when they're not necessarily in the best of form and we're on absolute fire, somehow they get something against us. You know, the only one that I can really remember in recent history was the 1-0 in November a couple of years ago, where I think Aubameyang gets a goal, but then we go on and lose 4 or 5 after that. That's why I really, really think this game represents a lot in terms of the direction of this team. And their own belief, because it takes one kind of belief to come back against a Fulham or a Villa when you concede a goal. It takes another to go to Old Trafford where they have a new manager. Their fans will be up for it. You're up against, you know, Casemiro. You're up against Varane. You might have Cristiano Ronaldo on the pitch. For a lot of these guys, it might even be their first time playing against that caliber of opposition, depending on who starts. But this is a game now. Remember, I was saying I don't want to be talking about United. I want to deal with Villa first. Well, we dealt with Villa, and the minute that full-time whistle went, all I was thinking was, I really want to do these guys on Sunday. I really want to get a result there. This fixture is always a massive one for me every year.
Yeah, I hate them. I actually hate them. And they've really, a couple of times they've really thumped us. I'd love nothing more than to thump them at home too. But then the nerves are starting to set in already. I woke up today thinking about that game. Usually I'm at Old Trafford. This time I'm going to leave it out because I can't do another drive back being disappointed 4 or 5 hours. It's all mad. Jordan, you was going to say something?
Yeah, I'm conflicted. I'm really conflicted about this one because the history of this fixture is obviously there for everybody. Everybody is aware of it. Where Lee was talking about earlier on, maybe being defensively tight and secure, and I think, forgive me if I'm misunderstanding you here, but kind of growing to the game, keeping it tight, and then seeing what we can do with our guns. I'm leaning more towards gambling and actually going open and sticking it on them. I'm actually going there thinking, I think we should go there and try and beat them. And I know it's a big club, and I know on the day I may change my tune. When the kickoff comes, I may actually point at a bad point here. But right now, I'm thinking we go there and we try to beat them.
Yeah,
and I don't just mean like chest out, let's go win every game. I mean set up to go and beat them. I mean push up the field. They have a lot of pace in behind, and Casemiro can pass the ball as well. But I'm saying, why don't we go there and try and beat them? And look, if we lose the game 3-0, we'll be embarrassed. It won't be great. It won't be nice. But I think we're in this sort of form that let's go there and try and beat them. And I think it's the first time in a long time since Robin van Persie where we've had a striker up top that I genuinely think teams the night before are thinking, oh, you mentioned it, I think it was you, Touch, earlier on, that no one don't want to play Gabriel Jesus right now. Yeah. You do not want to mark him. You don't want to play him. He's a big problem. And I just wonder if we don't disrespect them, but if we're giving them a little bit too much respect against Man United. This is not the same Man United. This is not the same Man United. Let's go there. And I'm leaning towards trying to win. And if we lose, we lose. But I'm saying let's go there and try and stick it on them and really push up the field and really, really, really just stick it on them. I'm leaning more towards that because I think we're in the form and they're in the form whereby we can go there and win. And they hate losing to us. They'll be up for it. It will be loud. Ronaldo will probably start. Their big game, whatever it may be. But we're Arsenal, and I think that we're in good form. And if we're not going to believe in ourselves to go there and win now, then when?
That's when we're at our best. That's when we're at our best, Jordan. When we go there, Arteta always says, I want to go there and play our football. We need to be brave on the ball. We need to exert our philosophy. You can do that without solely setting up to extinguish their threat. You can still have some nous about you and play your football. And I think that's exactly what he will try and do. And if you're not going to try that at Old Trafford after winning 5 games in a row, you're probably never going to try it.
Exactly.
Let's be honest here. If the roles were reversed, and this is the mentality that Arsenal fans need to get over as well, and it's through no fault of our own. It's what the club and the decline has resulted in us being nervy. But let's flip it the other way around. If Man United won the first 5 games of the season and Arsenal started the season in the manner that United had, Man United would be coming to the Emirates for a win. You know that without a shadow of a doubt. Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Tottenham, all are the same. 5 out of 5, they'd be going for the win. Going for the win and losing a game, I can accept that. Yeah. I can accept that. It can happen. You're going to lose games. We're not going invincible again. But I just want to see, I want to see us believing in our own source, let's say, to use a saying from the culture right now. But yeah, believe in your own source, go there and give it a good go. Give it a good go.
I'm not scared to lose. I don't want to lose there, and they're dead food, so it wouldn't be a great look. But I'm not scared to lose. Let's go there and let's stick it on them. We've got players out, yes. But I think we need to kind of get out of this. It's Man United, it's Old Trafford. Let's just go there, and as hard as it will be, just try and treat it as Villa away or Brighton away and play our football. And if we concede, we concede. And my final point before I defer to Lee, because I know Lee wants to come in, it's such a shame if Zinchenko doesn't play in this game, because these are the sorts of games where I think the mentality from the likes of Zinchenko and Jesus come into play. If we go 1-0 down after 10 minutes, you need the likes of Zinchenko and he who I won't name to really step up and be like, you know what? Don't panic. Don't panic. If we're 1-0 down after 79 minutes, don't panic. Even 2-0 down, don't panic. We'll play our ball, and we'll get one back, and then it's game on. These are the games where I think Zinchenko, and this is where I'll big up James for the hailing of that signing. These are the games where I think you need your winners and people that have been there and done it to really be at a big Old Trafford pitch where you've got key players missing potentially to really just guide us through this game with maturity. And even if we go 1-0 up, right, guys, no goal conceded for the next 10 minutes, they're not equalising. The next 10 minutes, they are not equalising. You need those players that can actually instill that level of maturity in a performance, whether you're 1 up or 1 down, to keep you in the game. You go 3 down after half an hour, it's game over. But you need those players, and that's why I really do hope that Zinchenko is fit enough to play, because I think someone like him will have the mentality to be able to see this game through, win, lose or draw, but see it through in a way that actually says we've now got players that know how to manage games. One of my big things of the years is we're very poor at managing games. And I think someone like Zinchenko and hopefully Jesus are 2 players that we've brought in who have that game management about them.
Before Lee goes in, I want to bring up the prediction table because we're slowly rearing to that time of the show. Lee, you might need to move towards your left a little bit because it might cover you when I do bring it up.
That's all right.
You're still there. You're all right. You're all right. Obviously, all of us got the correct result, not the correct score. So we all got a point last week. And there it is. James and Lee joined at the top 7 points apiece. Jordan and myself next up 5 points apiece. Lee, go in for the win. And after your thoughts, give us your... Well, let me let you know.
Yeah,
James has predicted 1-1. Just so you
James predicted 1-1, did he?
1-1.
Yeah. Listen, I think this is a different game for us now. I felt the last 2 games. I don't know how you took. I felt the pressure of the last 2 games because I felt that we've had to win those games. I thought like must-win games. You know what I mean? Say if we'd have lost to Aston Villa yesterday, and then we lose to Man United, the season is an average season. It's not great and all that. Like. So we've got the results that we wanted. Now we go to Man United, where I feel that if we was to get a draw, it ain't the end of the world. Like, but it would have been if we'd have drawn with Fulham or would have drawn with Aston Villa. So I think there's a different pressure on this game. I think we can go there. I do think that we can go there and win this game. Do I think that we will? No, I don't. I think that I'm going to go with James for.
Come on, Lee. So negative, man. I'm tired of this.
Yeah, man. Fix up, man.
I'm
what kind of fan are you?
I'm tempted to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win or a 1-1.
So what are you going with? It's your goal to predict. You can't be tempted to one way or another. You have to take one.
Back your team, Lee. Back your team, Lee. Come on.
2-1.
Manchester United 1, Arsenal 2. I'm going for it like that.
Yeah.
There we go.
He's going for it. He's going for it.
There we go.
So James has gone 1-1. Lee's gone 2-1. Arsenal away win. Jordan?
I hope we go there and we stick it on them. I don't want the cautious approach. I'm going 1-1. I agree with James. I'm gonna go 1-0.
He's rallied you up and then he's hidden behind the fucking.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trust him as far as I
You fell for it. You fell for it.
Unreal.
I'm going 1-1 as well.
1-1, cool. Same as James. You right?
You know what? Looking at the games last season, it was actually there were a lot of games where there were defensive errors. The nerves got to the players, the defenses were wanting, and everyone looked good going forward. I think this could be a high-scoring game. I'm going 3-2 Arsenal.
Ooh.
3-2 Arsenal. There you go.
Well, that's some of that.
So what we have James 1-1, Jordan 1-1, Lee 2-1, Sharoy 3-2. You know
I know what you're saying already. What's the
you know what I'm going to say. Man United 1, Arsenal 3. Come on, if any game is to happen.
I love you, sir. I love you. Now, toss pot up the top there. Well done, son. Get in there.
Let's leave him at the bottom by the end of the weekend, man. I'd love nothing. I'm sure Jordan would love nothing more than being bottom at the end of the weekend.
Mate, I'll take it. I will happily take it. Just before you wrap, can I just mention though, because by the time this comes out, the window would have closed. Yeah. And we said on the last one how important it is to get a midfielder, and I think it's more important. We're seeing now why I've been banging on and on about that being the priority. Today, this will be yesterday by the time this comes out, but today we have to sign a top midfielder for me, because the Old Trafford game aside, this is going to happen again. We know that Partey will get injured. El Nene, if Sharoy is correct, this could be a long-term one where he could be out for a while. Please, please, please go out and get a top midfielder that can just give the squad that bit of depth that I think we're going to need over the course of 4 competitions and the season.
They asked Arteta in the press conference. They said, "How has this changed your recruitment?" After he was dealing with those injuries, and he said, "Look, I mean, quite clearly, we're gonna have to try and strengthen in that position because the Mo and Thomas injuries have changed things. So we're going to do our best." And I think typically, you know, managers don't give anything away. They say, if the right player's out there, we might give it a go, or no, we're done for the window, whatever. But he really alluded to the fact that they are pushing. If they don't get it over the line, I think it won't just be us that's disappointed. I think he will be too.
But having said that, sorry, Turk, I'm talking too much again now. But having said that, I was very, very bold in January about saying I don't want a panic striker coming in. I don't want us to buy just a striker for the sake of it. I can't be a hypocrite, and I would say the same here again. Although I want a midfielder in, I think we need a midfielder in. I don't want us to be scrambling around now for any midfielder. I think it has to be someone that's part of the plan and not just another body. So, and I think if we leave ourselves open to scrambling, that says poor planning for the whole summer. So from the transfer deadline day, we're bringing in just anybody. That for me is really bad recruitment. So although I think we need a midfielder in 100%, definitely, I don't want us just to get anybody for the sake of a midfielder. So just to be consistent, I'm not really down with the whole panic buying. There's no one you feel you can get who can fit into this system, then we'll have to work with what we've got. But I'd like to think there's a list of players that they do think work in our system. Do you know what I mean? Who they can get today. So let's see what they do.
Listen, it's unlucky. It's unlucky that we've lost El Nini, right? It's unlucky. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Passe, not, because that's been it's there as plain as like day and night. He's always injured, like, you know what I mean? So they should have planned for it. They should have realised it. If they haven't, it's down on Arteta and Edu, you know what I mean? Because we will go into the next. The only saving grace is that we go in there for a month and a half of the season before it stops. It's not like 3 months till January. It's only till November, and then we've got like, we could perhaps get something done in January. But listen, I think we need to move now. Other teams are moving and making things happen. I know it's a bad thing. I'm going to be jumping in and out the pool and looking at my phone all day today, like, because I want to see something like, you know, I'll be very, very disappointed if Arsenal don't get a midfield player today. Very disappointed.
You heard it here, people. This will come out after the window ends. So on the next show after the Man United game, which should be coming out Monday evening, I'd say roughly around 9 p.m., we'll review the last 12 hours or so of the transfer window and hopefully review it in a positive light with one, maybe two incoming, in Sharoy's case a couple of weeks ago, predicting the two. But hopefully I'm with you. Like it would be nice. It would be nice. Sharoy, thank you for filling in a couple of times for James this week.
Not at all, man. It's been my pleasure. And I'm sure there's quite a few people in the chat who are happy to have James back. So,
well, I was going to say, is he back next week, Turkish, to replace me? Because in the chat,
listen, I don't know what's going on. If we put it to the fans, then we might not see.
Whoa!
You know what, Jordan? This time there were a few people sticking up for you as well, Jordan. You had your army out as well. I was pleased to see it, man. There were a lot of people saying,
that's the burner account. That's my mum on the covers.
Jordan's made a few accounts of his own. He's made a few.
He's got about 50 new phones. You know what I mean? Like, he put on his wish list for Christmas phones. You know what I mean? Like, I tell you, it's a joke, man. I tell you, that's a joke.
If you see a comment after this one saying Jordan's so amazing and he's such a handsome man, you know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I
Jordan, that's another one, like, you know what I mean? You don't want to go overboard, so he puts that up there, like, you know.
It has just popped up on Sky Sports. Arsenal considering making a 20 million offer for Douglas Luiz, but just before the stream, apparently Aston Villa are ruling out any outgoings in terms of Douglas Luiz. Like I said, we'll review the last 12 hours next week after the Man United game. Hopefully, we're reviewing a new signing and a positive result at Old Trafford. Sharoy, thank you as always. Lee, Jordan, we'll be back again next week with James back in the hot seat. People, give us your predictions, lineups, thoughts, comments, all of that. What do you think of Jordan this week in the comment section?
Hang on a minute. What's going on here? Is that like a new feature now? Judge Jordan.
Jordan Watch.
Ain't that bad.
Comment Watch by Jordan. It's called.
Nah, I'm joking. Leave him alone, man. I feel left out now. I used to get all of the hate. What's wrong with you? Like, you have turned your back on me, people. What's going on? But
perhaps you should say something stupid like he did. Like, I mean, I think it could work.
Well, I always saw Lehman as a centre midfielder.
I'm out of it. I'm done.
I love people. All right. Next week, same.